Hey friend, Great Player here. I've acquired quite a few books in the past month, so I wanted to do a little book haul. As you guys may or may not know, I recently took a little booktubey, bookstagrammy, internet friends-y trip to Mexico City. I flew over with Ivana from Ivana in the City and Kat from Lit with Kat, and we met up with Mary, who is a bookstagrammer, and we just had a lot of fun roaming the city, eating good foods, looking at art, and of course, hitting up a ton of bookstores. I bent my back and brought quite a few books from various little bookstores in Mexico City. And then there are some books that have been sent over to me and I'm really looking forward to them, so I thought I could share some of those too. I haven't done a book haul before, so I think I'm just gonna give you like the little bit that I know about the book. I'm not gonna like read the synopsis or anything. And I thought this would be pretty cool because a lot of the books that I got in Mexico City are books. I think I only got one English language book. I know that there's one book that has not yet been translated to English, but I thought that this could be a cool way to dabble in translated lit. So I will show you the book that I got and then also provide the translated version of it. Yeah, so enough chit chat. Let's get into the haul. First, we got Bonsai by Alejandro Zambra. I know that Alejandro recently wrote The Chilean Poet. I have it and I have not yet read it, but there was a bookstagrammer, Brie Beatriz, who shared a piece of writing from Alejandro Zambra, and I couldn't remember if it was this collection or another collection, but the writing was so beautiful that I was like, well, regardless, we're gonna have something beautiful. That's why I picked this up. This is a little novel. The back is blurred by Valeria Luiselli, and this one's about two students who fall in love. It's a tale of love, art, and memory. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if it was Alejandro Zambra or if it was someone else, and it's gonna bother me, so I'm gonna look it up really quick. 1 second. It was not Alejandro Zambra. It was Kate Zambrino. Oops. But in any case, this is now in my collection and I'm excited to read it. I also really want to get into The Chilean Poet, so yeah. The next book I got was El Invencible Verano de Liliana, which is the Invincible... I'm just going to put the translation here because I don't know what it's called, but there is a translated version of this book by Cristina Rivera Garza. So it's basically Cristina looking through her sister's journal. So her sister was murdered by her husband. They're trying to figure out the murder, or they're looking at the information around the murder. It's supposed to be really beautiful. It's very of its place, so it takes place in Mexico City, and she recounts a lot of what happens in the city. Ivana picked this up and like I think finished it during our trip and was raving about it the entire time. Okay, we'll say this. I was going to read it in English. I borrowed it from my library. I like had the first page open of this and I had the first page of the translation, and there was just one line and I was like, ooh, it doesn't have the same sazon as it does in Spanish. So I just bit the bullet and got it in Spanish, and regardless of how long it takes me, we will be tackling. Sometimes when you go, like I had this experience in Indonesia and in Mexico too, but they're always wrapped in this like plastic. So all the books that I got, I had made naked so that I could do my little inscriptions on the inside, but this one I didn't get to do. But we did get La Hija Única, which is Stillborn. I do have the English copy of this, but La Hija Única is about two friends, Laura and Alina, who bond over the fact that they don't want to be mothers, and then we watch that change as they age. We watch the different ideas and iterations of motherhood, devotion, love, and womanhood, and it's just a fantastic, fantastic read. I just wanted it because everyone got it and I haven't read it in Spanish, and I do think that I like Guadalupe Nettel's writing in Spanish a little bit more, although Rosalind Harvey I think does a great job with the translation. I really, really love this book, and I thought, why not have a copy from Mexico City? Do I have space for a copy from Mexico City? Debatable, but she's here. Okay, so this was actually really funny because our Airbnb was an 8-minute walk from everything we wanted to go to, but there was this very cute little cafe that was very close, like 2 blocks down from our Airbnb, and it was called Clarice. It was called Clarice Café y Literatura, and we were like, not Clarice Lispector. We're in Mexico City. What is Clarice Lispector? Like, it wouldn't be a Clarice Lispector themed bookstore. It absolutely was a Clarice Lispector themed bookstore, and I couldn't leave without getting a book. So I do have here Book of Pleasures and Hour of the Star. I got Agua Viva and I got it translated into Spanish. I feel like Portuguese and Spanish are in the same line, so I'm curious to see how it translates. Also, if I'm able to grasp it in Spanish. So my sort of history with like reading in Spanish, I am a native Spanish speaker, but I have never been instructed in Spanish. So whenever I read a book in Spanish, it's just like me guessing, and it's also like phonetic knowledge and things like that. So my first book I read in Spanish was Eva Luna. I did try with 100 Years of Solitude. I couldn't get into it. Then I read Eva Luna and I adored it. I only comprehended, I'm gonna be really honest with you, like 70-80% of it. In the beginning, I was trying to define every unfamiliar word, and I was like, this is interrupting the flow of reading so much. So I just kind of trusted that I would get the gist and that Allende was a skilled enough writer that my understanding wouldn't falter because I didn't understand one word. It was a really beautiful experience, and I sort of vowed to myself that I would read one Spanish book a year. So the year after that, I read Casa de los Espíritus, or House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. Following year, I tried to read, what was it? The Japanese Lover, El Amante Japonés, and I couldn't get into it, so I have not yet read my 2023 Spanish language book, but now I have tons to pick from, so I don't foresee that being a problem. I just have to get on it because it does take me a little bit longer to move through books when they're in Spanish. All that being said, Eva Luna was very lyrical and beautiful. I know that Lispector is just very like up here when she's writing, so I'm curious to see if I'll be able to grasp it. Worst case scenario, I'll just borrow or buy Agua Viva in English and then have both. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this reads. So I actually don't know what this is about. I saw the word desamor on the back and I was like, yum. And then it seems like it's about art and language and music. I have no idea, but it's Lispector. I have not yet finished my first Lispector. I have started many of them, but I haven't gotten through any of them, so I need to do one. And it's just special because we found it accidentally at a Clarice themed bookstore. My camera overheated yet again. This was my favorite. So we were in El Péndulo, which is like a chain in Mexico City, and they have various different stores in different neighborhoods. We walked in and we walked toward the back wall, and I was just scanning and I see this cover. It looks like painting, like a very like Moshfeghian cover in terms of just like this old piece of art. This woman holding a baby and the baby's face is scribbled out. And I was like, huh? I always still regard Hispanohablantes and like Latin American countries to be pretty conservative. So I was like, what's that? And yeah, it's called Mátate Amor by Ariana Harwick. This one is translated by Charco Press, and I haven't read Charco Press books, but they also seem like the it girl in terms of like translated books in Spanish. There have been a couple of books. Elena Knows, there's another one that I want to read by them. There are a couple that I wanted to read by them. I just, because they're not really easily found in bookstores that I encounter, you have to sort of order it from them. I haven't done that yet, but it is on my list to do. But the translated versions of these are by Charco Press, and this is part of what she calls an involuntary trilogy. We read the first chapter together in Mexico City. So we all bought the book because I was like, this is amazing. And they're like, wait, what? And I think we were all just taken by the cover of it. It was a very true judge a book by its cover moment. And I'm happy to say that the content so far seemed really good. It's a tiny little book. First chapter was amazing, real taboo, real yikes, but in like a delicious way. Yeah, and it's just about like being in a marriage and having a kid and being really disenchanted with that so far. This is like the one that I'm most excited to find and to read. And I think depending on how this read goes, I'll either try to find the next two in Spanish, or I'll just have my first Charco Press order and get the two other ones that are part of the trilogy. But yeah, really excited about this one. The next book I got was Brenda Navarro's Casas Vacías. Here is the translated version of it. This was recommended to me by Andrea Beatriz. She had put up an Instagram post speaking about a book, and she compared it to Navarro's book. And I was like, oh, I just came across it. Like, which one do you recommend? And she's like, definitely go for this one. So I picked it up. And this one's about motherhood as well. From what I understand, it's like one child is mothered by various women, and it has to do with maternal ambivalence and all that good stuff. And I've also seen this name a ton, and I just haven't picked anything up by her, and I feel like I have to rectify that. So then I got another Netel. I got El Cuerpo en que Nací, and here is the translated version of it. The covers on the Spanish editions are chef's frickin' kiss. How gorgeous that is. Very excited for this actually. This might be the first one that I tackle. And last but not least, I got Cauterio by Lucia Littmeyer. And this one actually has not yet been translated to English, but this one seems wild. I actually encountered this one on TikTok en español. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need it. I'm just like obsessed with these anagrama editions. And this one is about, okay, a woman is abandoned by her partner in Barcelona. There is a secret, the most dangerous woman in the world. There's something about violence and hypocrisy. They put really long ass blurbs on the back, but there's a mix of things in here. Oh, I see Joan Didion, and I see Margaret Atwood, and I see Ottessa Moshfegh. So yeah, I feel like this would be a fun read. Definitely going into it blind, because even just telling you that, I still have no idea what it's about, but we are excited. I can't get this around it now. That's Cauterio. So those are all the books that I got in Mexico City. Okay, then I have some books that have been sent over to me, but I just haven't really spoke about on here. So the first one is Mrs. S by Kate Patrick, and this one was sent over to me by Europa Editions. This is like a boarding school novel. I believe it's like younger girl, older woman affair, and there's tons of like pining and yearning, and it's supposed to be very like sensual and beautiful. It is blurbed by Lillian Fishman, who wrote Acts of Service. Loved that book. It's the only person I know on here, but I know that a lot of people whose literary taste I trust have really enjoyed this one, so I'm very excited to get into this. We also have Berlin by B. Seton, and this I saw unreliable narrator, unsettling debut. That seems like the vibe I'm totally in. She moves to a new city, she's trying to make friends, get new lovers, and then there's this mystery that happens. Very excited for this one. Something about razor sharp observation. Nothing special. This one was blurred by Sally Rooney, and so I was in. I think this is about like a young girl who works for an artist and is trying to make sense of love and art in this time period. It's also blurred by Louise Kennedy. I just finished reading Trespasses and I loved it, so I am very much in the camp of trusting whatever these writers guide me towards because I love their stuff. We got The Details by Genberg. This was sent to me by Harper Via. So this is translated from Swedish. From what I gathered, it was like fever dreamy and also interrogating intimacy and relationships. I don't know much about it, also have not seen much about it, but I'm very interested. It's supposed to also be super observational, and I kind of miss like really observational writing. This and this are supposed to be like really observational, so I'm excited to get into those. And then I got some really exciting book mail, so let me grab that. Okay, first is a beautiful package from Echo Press for Family Lore. I saw Kayla on Bookstagram call it a church fan, and I could not get over that. They sent some Latina-owned hair oil, a lipstick, a finished copy of Family Lore, and they also sent this beautiful gratitude journal, a Latina-owned business who made a journal, and it's written bilingually and it's very beautiful. I thought this was so cute, and I did start listening to Family Lore on audio. I feel like I've been having an off time with audiobooks, and so I might try to pick it up physically. It's blurbed by Julia Alvarez, Kiese Lehman, Disha Filial, all really beloved writers, and so I need to like give this some time. It's also about Dominicanness and Dominican families, and that's real close to my heart. Hey, editing cat here. I do have 2 extra copies of Family Lore. They're advanced copies and I don't need 3. So if you are interested in reading this book, just drop a little hand raised emoji in the comments and I'll collect everyone and I'll randomly select 2 people and ship these out so that we can share the Acevedo love. The only thing is that you must live in the US because shipping abroad is expensive. And the last thing I have is The Guest by Emma Cline. Random House sent this over. This is supposed to be a literary thriller. I feel like people have already seen this book around, but it's a literary thriller. A girl in the Hamptons gets real weird. Oh, she's on Long Island. Even better. I've seen great things about this. So I'm very excited to get into this. And they sent over a cute little tote. I will be wearing the heck out of this. Very grateful for that. There's paper all over me. So now that everything is thoroughly a mess, I think that is it for this video. I'm very excited. I will say, and we're gonna be completely candid with each other, I left in such a reading high, and as usually happens when I am traveling, I fell into a slump. I was trying to read this morning and I could not concentrate on a freaking paragraph, although I have been reading some nonfiction. I've been reading by, I'm not sure who wrote it, but I'm gonna put a little picture here, and that's been the only thing that's been able to grab my attention. I have been like applesauce in my brain. So yeah, I don't know if I have to do another challenge to get back into the habit of reading. I have so many things that I'm so excited to get into. I still have like 6 books on my summer TBR. I have all of these new acquisitions, and it's like I desperately want to read. It's just my brain is not cooperating. So I do think another reading challenge. I hope that's okay with y'all. I mean, I'm gonna do it anyway, but I hope it's okay with y'all that I put it here and share that experience with you, because yeah, I felt like I was in a really good place after the 100-page reading challenge, and then I just have fallen off a bit, and I need to be back on my shit. So that will probably be coming soon. I guess this will be coming out towards the end of summer, beginning of fall, and that's sort of a new leaf for all of us. So I hope that all of us can have some fruitful reading, because I know based on what y'all have said in the comments, all of us sort of linked arms and fell into that slump in the summer. Hoping good reading for all of us. But I think that's it. I hope you're doing well, and we'll see each other soon. Bye.